Bending in The Legend of Korra is a lot different than bending in Avatar: The Last Airbender. In the original series, it was heavily focused on traditional martial arts. For example, the Earthbenders used like a form of Kung Fu, the Firebenders were like Northern Shaolin monks with how they fought, and the Waterbenders were they were using like forms of Tai Chi. And I do believe the Airbenders are using a martial art that is very similar to Wing Chun. But like real life fighting that has evolved past traditional martial arts, so has bending. Now just because bending has evolved, I'm not trying to say Legend of Korra characters are necessarily stronger than Avatar: The Last Airbender characters. I'm just saying the forms of fighting are very different now. I'm not trying to spark a Mako versus Zuko debate or a Korra versus Aang debate. I'm just breaking down how bending has changed in the last 70 or 80 years since the events of The Last Airbender, and also giving my own take on why I think it changed. Now, the introduction of pro bending is when we first get to see how bending has changed so much. Now yes, I do know pro bending is just a sport, and they are playing with limited materials and there is rules. But just because it has rules does not mean that it is necessarily impractical in like a real bending scenario. Similar to how we have mixed martial arts and boxing. Now, just because those two sports have a rule set that protects the fighters, does not mean that those skills are not going to transfer in the street, because they are. They're going to transfer very well actually. Most of the time a trained fighter will always beat a street fighter in a fight. Okay, I've gone on a tangent long enough. Back to the topic. Notice how in pro bending they take very similar stances to MMA fighters. They're light on their feet, they're throwing 1-2s. We even see Mako throwing a firebending hook. Like, that's crazy. I never thought I'd see a hook thrown while bending. Fast forward to when Bo Lin is showing Korra around and like showing her some moves. He then tells Korra to like show him what she's got, and she throws some discs around in like this wide traditional martial arts stance. And he basically tells her like, you're too upright and flat-footed. In a real match, you have no agility. You're gonna get knocked out very easily. Then Bo Lin shows her that you need to be light on your feet and throw a proper 1-2. Now after pro bending is done, Korra keeps the information she learned from pro bending and she fights with it. To me, this shows the most in her battle with Kuvira. Now, as a mixed martial arts fan, this was really cool to see. Instead of the typical evade that they would do in the other show, like they would basically duck or they would move back and get out the way of the attack, Korra actually takes more of like a boxing stance. She slips Kuvira's attack and then throws like a left airbending hook at her. That was sick. That was classic boxing right there. Now, this is just one example of many. If you guys want another example of how bending has changed a lot, we have Zahir. His entire style is just freestyle. He's not traditionally trained at all. He's never had an airbending master, and I don't think he's had any sort of master at all. Well, I guess you could say he took inspiration from Guru Lahima because he mentions him in every other fucking sentence. But anyway, here's my theory on why bending has changed so much. And it's Republic City. We have benders from all over the world, all different nations, all living together, and I'm sure they're taking inspiration from each other. Plus, it's a city, it's dangerous. It's probably a lot easier to throw a quick 1-2 at someone trying to mug you than it is to throw like some sort of fancy spinning taekwondo kick that's probably not even gonna land. So yeah, that's all the time I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked the video, please leave a comment down below. It helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next video.